Shares of Disney, meantime, are moving higher after reporting earnings just moments ago. The company beating on both the top and bottom line. And joining us to break down those numbers is Mark Skatovich from Rosenblatt Securities, along with the CNBC.com media and tech reporter, Alex Sherman. Good afternoon to you both. Alex, I'll come to you first, since I know you've been combing through this release. I mean, certainly this is subscriber numbers, 116 million for Disney Plus, which was better than the street expectations, really getting a lot of attention. But what stands out to you so far looking at these results?
Yeah, that's the big one. And just in general now, a total of 174 million subscriptions across Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, and Hulu. That's not an apples-to-apples comparison to, say, Netflix, because the same person could subscribe to multiple of those services, but it gives you a general indication of how successful Disney has been transitioning its business to streaming. Netflix has, let's say, 210 or so million subscribers globally, so Disney is really catching up quite quickly to Netflix, even though it just launched several years ago with its streaming products. So Disney wanted to put forward this narrative that it should trade at a multiple closer to Netflix because Netflix has been the dominant figure in streaming and Disney's catching up. And they are doing quite well on sort of pushing that narrative successfully to investors. And that's why you see the stock up today.
Yeah, it's some key context right
Alex,
there, because it does almost... Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Wilf.
My bad. I didn't realize it was you. I was actually going to say, Alex, I love the piano in the background. I feel like you need to round out this interview with a song almost. But
I can play
but I'm actually going to ask you instead.
For my kids. I mean, my kids ask me maybe all the time.
Maybe you can at the end, but instead I'm going to go to your other area of absolute expertise, which is M&A. We always talk about who's going to be next in the media M&A race. But I guess we never talk about Disney in that conversation because they've done so much already. But could they still be buyers of any of the assets out there?
Sure. I mean, look, it wasn't that long ago that Disney bought the majority of Fox. That was a tens of billions of dollar transaction. So they fully integrated that by and large. And yeah, I think they are absolutely a player for some of the smaller assets that are still out there. The question for Disney has been historically, their successful transactions have been intellectual property, right? Lucas, Marvel, Pixar. I mean, these have been phenomenal acquisitions for Disney. So if they are to do a deal, you'd have to wonder if that's the route they go again. Is there some intellectual property out there, some independent studio that they feel they can just slot right into Disney Plus or Hulu and strengthen one of their existing streaming services?
Mark, I want to get your take. I mean, we're certainly talking about streaming right now. I know you have a buy on the stock, but the parks also returned to profitability as well.
They did. I think that was the other bright spot. I agree with Alex that clearly the Disney Plus subs were the strongest bright spot, particularly after last quarter. We had a little bit of weakness there, both at Netflix and Disney. That weakness continued for Netflix, but it didn't for Disney. So just to close on the Disney Plus numbers, by my numbers, Disney Plus is about 90 million subs behind Netflix globally right now. And with this number, it's sort of tracking to roughly a 20 million net ad gain on Netflix this year. So I think it's showing some nice momentum. Certainly, it's behind Netflix a bit in terms of its start. But as Alex said, over a short period of time, the Mo on Disney Plus subs continues to go here. To your point on the parks, that was definitely a bright spot. The revenue was about, by our numbers, relative to consensus, about 10% better, and it showed a profit this quarter. We were expecting that more towards the end of this year into next year, so nice early profit sign. So that indicates, to us at least, but we'll want to hear a little more commentary. And honestly, I haven't got through the whole press release yet, but just how the COVID Delta variant has been impacting attendance and any distancing restrictions or capacity restrictions, I should say, for Disney at any of its parks. But those are the two bright spots in my book.
Mark and Alex, we'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But thank you both very much for joining us.